Hello guys, this is Low Tech Gaming here. So, update 24 has been released. We're just gonna go through the release notes here. This is, I guess after the resistance phase kind of dropped, so I kind of just, I guess, tuned out as to what was going on. So apparently, apparently they've put some notes out beforehand, so I think they did. I'm not entirely, let's see, dev blog, no, it doesn't look like they've updated this. Dev branch. No, it doesn't look like they updated this either. The last one was on November 9th, 2018. Okay, let's go back. Go back. Why am I not? Am I stuck in like limbo or something? Here, all posts. What just, okay. Okay, so it's like rollout information. Okay, so the dev branch was released 2 days ago. No, but it seems like they did not. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Anyway, back to the update notes. So, we have the transport bus. All aboard the Magic School Bus here. It seems that this is the best way to get a bunch of people over, I suppose. And it's a relic vehicle, so it's kind of interesting. I mean, yeah, no, it's the largest, it can hold the largest amount of people, so, or actually, would that be the, I'm not sure how many the cargo ship actually holds. But yeah, no, this is kind of interesting. I think, yeah, they're really going with the civilian vehicles. I mean, I don't think there's any problem with that. I think, I just would wish that they would have like a military, like counterpart to it, or so, like a military bus, or so, something that has a little bit more durability, or so, instead of just like all the relic vehicles, or so, having better capacity for troops and cargo. So if they had like some military versions, that'd be kind of cool. But no, it's kind of interesting. So kind of interested to see how that goes. Oh, this is a big one. So the gas masks now have a gas mask filter. So when you have a gas mask, you need to have a filter on you in order to prevent damage from the green ash. So yeah, you can't just sit around and. Yeah, so actually no, so this is a interesting thing because it does make it so green ash is still what is it, a viable thing, so even if the enemy does have gas masks, because you can still use green ash to slowly attrition away their filters essentially. So even if someone like is hiding inside like a vehicle, if they're hiding inside a vehicle and they're just not getting out, you can keep on gassing them until eventually their filter runs out, and then they're just gonna die, essentially. Which is kind of cool. So it is one way to finally get rid of like everyone inside of vehicles. It's a way to get rid of everyone inside of structures that are hiding, that have gas masks, essentially. It adds more of a attritional element to it, and it also makes green ash much more useful. I'm still waiting for my green ash artillery shells, essentially, that can make a giant cloud of smoke that can go back and forth depending on the wind. World War I fantasies. Anywho, next thing is the AT pillbox, essentially. So the AT pillbox is repurposed from the sunken pillbox. Does that mean that it replaced it, or is it like a upgrade, essentially? That's the big question, because what is it? I mean, the sunken pillbox is still an effective blocking tool, as the enemy has to bait it out in order to destroy it, and it can't be destroyed from long range. So it kind of does force the enemy to come in very close to engage. So it would suck if the sunken pillbox was just completely replaced by the AT pillbox, essentially. But it would be nice if it was basically just like a upgraded version of it. It fires an AT rifle and only attacks vehicles. AT pillbox, so there's that. What else? it is an earlier in the okay, so yeah, so it's earlier in the tech tree, so it's like a basically the wooden pillbox version of the AT gun. So you don't have to wait until the AT gun comes out before you can get this thing. So you can use it to hit ACs and armored cars or so reasonably well in a defensive pattern, essentially, which is very nice. And apparently its health is okay. Okay, and it costs a basic match instead of refined materials, so it's like a... Even in late game, it's still something against, like, swarms of battle tanks and light tanks and whatnot, because you can still use... You can still build them quite reasonably with basic materials and don't have to rely on having a bunch of refined materials on standby, so that's really cool. And apparently its health has also been increased a little bit, because it's probably going to be the first thing vehicles go after if they do run across it, I guess. What else? So, certain vehicles do not spawn in until certain parts of the tech tree has been researched. This was a big problem in the last war, where you basically have storm tanks in the beginning of the war, and essentially they're better than light tanks. They are better than light tanks. It's just a fact. They have more armor and they have a faster reload rate. So and they have a faster reverse speed as well. So they are literally they're better than light tanks, and they were put in before you even had access to RPGs. So now I think they're making it so you can get light vehicles, but you're not going to get the tractor, the armored tractor until ACs are out. You're not going to be able to get the storm tank until light tanks are out. You're not going to be able to get these vehicles until a certain amount of the tech tree is unlocked or so. Which is, what is it? I feel like this does balance it out quite a bit. I think it's just because of the fact that on top of that now seeing how no, I'm not going to go into lore things or so. They're going with, I'm not a fan of the way they're doing the lore, as it seems that they're going with like a 40k feel for it, where ancient technology is better than modern day technology or so. Despite the fact that the World War I, II, like semi-realistic vibe or so it just clashes with it or so, with the ancient technology warfare vibe that they're trying to put out there. But I mean if you go on that point, it's like, so we have all these storm tanks, but we don't know how to use them. Hey, so now we have light tanks. Hey, so we now also know how to finally use these storm tanks now. I mean, you might as well use them as I think they would have been better, in my opinion, to be used as not like something that was better than the actual common vehicles, but something that was inefficient. Like if you had the storm tank should have been akin to like a World War I land ship in terms of its combat capabilities, compared to like maybe a Panzer III, or I guess for light tank or so, Panzer II. So, well, it would just get destroyed due to its lack of armor, lack of speed. It would just be overall a worse vehicle, but something you could play in the early game, because there'll just be enough counters to actually handle it. And then it'd be something for the late game, well, hey, if you didn't have anything else, it's better than nothing or so. But that's just not the way it's going, so we'll just have to see how this goes. But for overall balance, it does fix the early game, but it also does reduce the usefulness for relic vehicles, because I mean essentially you have the mass-produced production variants. I mean, technically they are still better, so they're more of like an upgraded version. Like I spoke in my vehicle customization video, well, they should just make it so you can upgrade the current modern models. But no, I mean, for gameplay this works out just fine, and so I just wanted a little bit, I wanted it to go in a different direction, but we'll just have to see how it goes or so, because relic vehicles are still kinda being tested out. They've only been in one war so far. Moving on, AT mines are back. They are back in the game. So all you vehicle drivers, best beware. So these mines are visible to infantry on foot, infantry and vehicles when placed on roads, and friendlies. Okay. And they deactivate after 48 hours. Okay, so what does that mean? So obviously infantry on foot can see them. Infantry and vehicles can see them when they're placed on roads. I think that, okay, so like if someone just puts a mine on a road, then you'll see it. Okay, so and then friendlies as well. So if a warden puts a mine on the road or the ground or wherever, essentially, you will be able to see it if you are a warden. If it is in the terrain, you either have to be a warden or you have to be a colonial infantryman. If you are, if the mine is put on a road, then you will be able to see it, regardless of whether or not you are a warden, a colonial, or in a vehicle. So vehicles need to be careful of flanking, going around into unpaved, like unpaved areas, because if they do, and the mine isn't friendly, they won't see it. They will see all the friendly mines, they'll see all the mines on the road, but they won't see enemy mines. You won't see enemy mines that are not on the road, essentially. That's kind of the gist of it. And I feel like this is good because of the fact that it's a mixed bag. Because mines will, I mean, I really, in terms of AT mines, like I feel like they should just have both AT and anti-personnel mines. Something you can use to just mine out entire areas, essentially, making colossal minefields. They should be able to be deactivated. Or they shouldn't deactivate after 48 hours, I feel. It is a little bit of a hassle when you have it because they don't set off on trucks. I think it's only like ACs, half-tracks, light tanks, and battle tanks that will set these mines off, essentially. But essentially the overwhelming problem with the AT mines was just that someone could just run into a friendly region or an enemy region or so. Let's say a warden could go into like the colonial homelands, place a bunch of mines on the roads, and no one would know. And you can imagine taking out a light tank or a half-track, pulling one to the front line, and then just being hit by a mine within your own region because someone snuck in there. That was annoying, essentially. That was very annoying. And it was even worse when friendlies would do this, because you just would not know who put down the mine. So all I really wanted in terms of the AT mines was to know where the friendly mines were, so you could avoid them. I do like that feature. For the roads, I guess that makes them more of a deterrent, I guess. So you can make it so you can have just this massive minefield that the enemy has to either, either they have to dismantle all the mines or they just have to go around them. That in combination with like tank traps and whatnot can make it so retreating can be a real pain, as you might need to retreat in the exact same or along this exact same path as before, making it harder to escape if you have really good fortifications everywhere, which is very interesting. Like AT mines, ever since battle tanks were put on the field, I felt like they were like necessary, because just having the ability to have those out there, just like box them in or so, would have been wonderful. Bridges about to fall, put up a bunch of AT mines on the road and around. Enemy tries to get any vehicles across, they die. And then once they die, the other vehicles are a little more skeptical, so this makes sense. So I guess roads I'm iffy about, because it just changes the meta along the lines where you kind of have to now use them as more of a deterrent. I mean, I think if anything, either they should all be visible to the point where they're just a deterrent, I guess, something where you have to like pay attention, or they should just be hidden and from the enemy, but all friendly mines can be seen, essentially. something along those lines. I'm not a fan of them deactivating, just because of the fact that having giant colossal minefield is a really good deterrent for enemies trying to come in, essentially. But I guess 48 hours, 2 days, is a long enough time to the point where if they won't use that, so they'll just taking up space on the server, I suppose. So I don't know. I have to see how that goes. And then the gas mask filters do not stack. So they're like the sticky bombs, where you have you can basically only have so many in your inventory or so, and you're just taken away from your space if you want to bring multiple gas mask filters. So that's something. Gameplay balance, it's a lot. So Westgate keeps on to build, so you don't have to rebuild it with the CV. All forward bases health has been increased by 50%. Wooden pillbox HP increased by 20%. Concrete pillbox increased by 20%. Wooden and concrete. Oh, this is actually a big one. So for the pillbox, before it's just like hitting you with massive amounts of fire, so there was like a 4-second time that you had to escape before you were just like killed by it if you were an infantryman. Now it's only half that time, so these fortifications are going to be way... I mean, I read the... because they have also this over here, where they have like the little Steam news update, and they did note that they wanted to buff defensive structures or so. I'm iffy about that, just buffing them in general, I guess. Like, I would rather have it where... because mobile combat is effectively killed by this, essentially. I mean, granted, they have... what is it? They've increased the health of the field machine gun. They've increased the speed of the armored car by 25%, essentially. And they've increased the damage of the hatchback by 20%. But they've also... what is it? There's no mobile, like, warfare unless you have, like, a low density, like, war. Well, you only have, like, maybe a max of, like, 300 to 400 people on the server at its peak times. If you have, like, 1,000 people, you will have so many defenses to the point where anything short of a massive attack will not be able to break through. But then if it does, I guess, on the flip side, break through, it will normally consist of so many forces that the enemy won't be able to build enough defenses to hold them back. So there is that, I suppose. But the... yeah, you're not fighting... what is it? You're not fighting like World War II. You're fighting really a very World War II... like a World War I version of World War II with the fortifications and whatnot. I feel like there has to be some way to allow for more mobile combined arms warfare without it being bogged down by 1 or 2 fortifications, essentially. I mean, battle tanks do actually break that mindset quite a bit, as they're really good at breaking into enemy lines, surviving taking huge amounts of damage. But I'm a little concerned with all the extra health to all these fortifications, because it's just going to make the early game really painful, in my opinion. They've also increased the range on the AT rifle, which is really good. The AT rifle it's useful when you can get into the right position, but with it having very limited range, you having to be prone to use it effectively, like going to, fortifications, reduces your accuracy by quite a bit or so. Going prone and hiding in the grass is the best way to use it. You just have to make sure that your rounds are kind of hidden by the grass or so, to the point where they can tell that you're firing at them, but they can't tell exactly where you are. But still, AT rifles are still very useless against like tanks unless someone's just not paying attention. Useful against armor cars and half-tracks, but not useful against tanks. What is it? What else? What else? Okay, so the Ford... oh, okay, so they've increased the MG on the gunboat's damage by 50%, so it's much more effective. That just means that naval combat is going to be very short. Because I don't see anything for gunboat damage increase, so HP increase. So, yeah, no, you have to watch out for those gunboats. They're going to tear you to shreds. They've reduced the explosive material required for sticky bombs, which is really nice as well. They've also increased the throw range for sticky bombs, which is really nice because the range is really short. It's like, seeing how you could throw a grenade so far, you'd think a sticky bomb would have the same. I mean, granted, it might be a little bit heavier, but it should have like maybe the same speed and distance as like an HE grenade or so. I don't know, but then maybe it would be like too overpowered. Really, I have no idea. But no, it's nice to see that the sticky bomb's been buffed. The landing APC's water speed has been reduced by 50%, meaning that you're going to be sitting in your APC a little bit longer when going between islands and objectives. The radio backpack's detection radius has been increased by 50%, which is really nice. So that does make it more useful for information, though I feel that most people don't use them. Really, I mean, what is it? I feel that in terms of detection, it's better to rely on, I guess, observation posts, I guess. But no, that is kind of cool. Smoke grenades are now produced under the small arms factory instead of the heavy arms. Oh, okay, so you can actually make them at the... Wait, actually, what does that mean? It's at the heavy arms facility. Does that mean you make them under the same category as, like, small arms weapons, I guess? Okay, that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's really a non-weapon. It's very useful with, what is it, storming fortifications or hiding your troop movements, but, yeah, no, I do feel like they need to make smoke grenades a lot cheaper and more prevalent. I'm still waiting for my smoke artillery, so you can just, like, smoke an entire area to hide and advance or retreat. What else? Relic vehicle spawn rate significantly reduced. I'm sure there's a lot of bitter wardens, including myself, that are happy with this change. Green ash grenades no longer stack. Well, I'm surprised that they haven't done this for just normal grenades. Green ash wasn't the problem. It was just normal grenades being able to stack. So I think HE, normal grenades, all grenades in general should not stack. So you can only code so many of them. Being able to turn into a land bomber, able to carpet bomb areas with grenades is insane. Green ash is different because you can just run away from that if you see it in time. A cocked grenade will kill you no matter what you do. So if someone's using the grenades properly, you're just dead. You're just dead if you're in the open, so there's nothing you can do. If they're using a, a grenade launcher, that's another thing because there's actually a delay between the grenade landing and so you can't affect that. So grenade launchers, while having the increased range, are less likely to kill you, but a cocked grenade will just kill you. And then having the ability to have like 99 on your person is just insane. So, I mean, granted, you will be heavily encumbered, but it won't matter. If you're smart enough to get all those grenades, I would hope that you'll be smart enough to use cover as well as use your teammates as human shield. Do not kill. Anywho. What else? Let's see. RPG aim indicator has been improved, and okay. Okay, that's actually really cool. Gotta look into that, because while I've been playing the game to the point where I can hit most targets within the maximum distance of the RPG, counting in for the drop in the drop on the RPG in terms of gravity, essentially. Most people would not be able to gauge it properly and would just waste RPG shells. So hopefully this does help in reducing misses by noobs and people who are having a hard time using the RPG. Stockpile sorting can be toggled on and off in the... Okay. Wait, what does that mean? Does that mean that you can... Actually, don't exactly know what that means. Moving on, grass visuals have been overhauled, which is nice. I think the biggest thing I have with grass is the fact that sometimes you can't tell which grass you can hide in, and some grass that you can't hide in. So like it's very wonky. Kind of just have to kind of eyeball it or just play the game enough to where you know which density of grass you can actually hide in. So hopefully they the visuals actually helped out in identifying that aspect. Barbed wire model has been updated, so there's a new barbed wire model. Bridge asset overhauled. Okay, so they've overhauled a lot of the visuals here. Improved animation for equipping and shooting rifle-like weapons. Gotta test that out. Vehicle structure item names are now displayed in full instead of abbreviated. Okay, yeah. No, I guess that, I mean, I feel like the abbreviations, you kind of just learn them and it just makes it easier to get a quick glance at what something is, but yeah, the full names, I guess, would help out most new players, so that's a welcome change. Added an AFK timer for players sitting idle in vehicles. Okay, so that's kind of good, because if you had a person who just went AFK and just wasn't doing anything, then you would be stuck with that player and you'd have to like kick him out of a vehicle, so that's actually kind of useful. I think they just need to find a way of allowing you to just kick players, not from the game, but just out of your vehicle if you don't want them there. Maybe the driver or the owner of the vehicle should be able to do that. Okay, bug fixes being encumbered does not stop a vehicle, APC barge. That was a bug? I thought that was like a feature. No, because when they first introduced APCs, that was how it worked, essentially. So you could be encumbered, but you could also get on the barge of the APC, essentially. That was fine, and then, like, out of nowhere, they, you know, I thought it was like a feature where you could not be on it, but apparently that's a bug. So, that's cool. So you can carry on as much stuff as you want in your APC and barge now, and half-track. Okay, no, that's really cool. Relic vehicle husk in the dirt do not window unless the player is within 100 meters. Okay, so you can see what, I guess you can see the dirt, but you can't see what vehicle it is unless you get close to it. Incorrect half-track. Use hint is shown when in the path. Okay. That's interesting. Players can now, can use heavy weapons for riding on top of the half-track in motion. Okay. Oh, so I'm guessing this revolves around like HMGs and RPGs probably. No, because it was a good idea, it's just that you'd be afraid of getting yourself killed, so maybe they made it so it's easier to use them without killing your half-track, so that would be nice. Safe house can't be interacted with when you're in a truck at a far corner. Okay. Oh, actually no, that's a good point, because the safe house itself had a limited interaction zone, and due to the nature of it, you couldn't normally get your truck close enough to actually interact with it and put vehicles inside of it. Oh, not vehicles, but items inside of it. So that's, yeah, no, that's really useful when you're doing logistics for like a safe house, because other than that, if you have a lot of stuff, you have to you have to park your truck, and then you have to make multiple trips back and forth between your truck and the safe house. So that is actually very useful. Okay, that's really good. Vehicles once destroyed no longer save / load properly. What? Does that mean that they... Is it like referring to like the damage state will like they show up like they're still there? Or... Actually, I don't know what that is, actually. Placing a gun nest next to a pillbox may result in the gun turret never firing. Okay, that's actually very useful because of the fact that you would want to match up gun turrets and pillboxes, so if someone was going after the gun turret, the pillbox would protect it, and if a vehicle was going after the pillbox, if you put the gun turret close enough, the splash damage might set off the gun turret and hit the vehicle. So yeah, no, that is really useful, and the fix to the bug makes that a tactic more valid, which is really good. I'm still waiting for my giant, because they made AT rifle pillboxes. I'm still waiting for my giant 75mm Atlantic wall, like AT guns or so, which can just wreck battle tanks, essentially. That would be fun to make. Okay, players can possibly become stuck after... Oh, that's bad. I mean, that never happened to me, but I guess that was a possibility, I guess. So they fixed that. That's really good. Winch, description only mentions mines and not other functions. Oh, okay, so in the description it mentioned that you could, disable mines, but never told you that you could unlock vehicles, get rid of tank traps, get rid of barbed wire, do a lot of stuff with the winch. Okay. Motorboat is incorrectly rendering decals. Okay. Interesting. Aiming at a barge with a vehicle on it gives you a red X and you can't shoot? Huh. Didn't know that. Okay, so like if... I'm wondering if it was just for gunboats or if it was for all vehicles, because that would be frustrating finding an enemy box with like maybe like a tank on it and then not being able to attack it with like your gunboat, essentially. That'd be frustrating. Emplacement houses count as bases when determining the correct connection range for defenses. Emplacement houses? Are they talking about like garrison houses or... Okay, so I emplacement houses. What do I emplacement houses? Because I know that we have safe houses, we have garrison houses. I mean, is it like so the garrison house extends the range, meaning that if you destroy the garrison houses, you can cut off the range for defenses by a bit if you know which ones you're shooting at? I mean, that's kind of cool. So it's also good that it expands the range for defenses. So it's not limited to where the town hall is, and you don't have to like fit like an FOB inside the town somewhere to extend the range. So that's kind of cool. Real textures on the ground. Yeah, I noticed that. That was really wonky. There's also like this weird thing where like if you look at some of the surrounding dirt around trees, like it will just phase in and out or so, and it just is weird. Alright, on Fairneck Coast, rocks are climbable. Okay. So, you can't climb there, I guess? I mean, when it comes to climbing on rocks, I guess it's... I feel like they shouldn't have too many of those artificial, like, plateaus that you can't climb up on. I think they should instead just have more hills and high grounds, essentially. Because you don't find terrain like that. It's unusual. Most terrain like that will like it's just a steep incline that you can't get up from. That's normally caused by water erosion. Best example is like the Grand Canyon, essentially. But and other examples are like the cliffs of Dover, essentially. Well, just water is just eroded it so much that it's just like a steep cliff. But you do also get that naturally in some areas as well. I just think that they should have just more like hills, so just natural hills that you can go up and actually use as high ground positions, essentially. But that's just my opinion. If players pressed against the wall, they can fire at another player pressed against the other side. Really? Did not know you could do that. I think that was going to like bug fixes. Alright, well yeah, no, that's it for update 24. Very interesting. So they added another relic vehicle. I'm just trying to think. Let me just go back here and because like I'm sure that they have like a development page or something, because like they talked about how they want to add a bunch of, what is it? They want to add like a bunch of relic vehicles, essentially. Servo optimization. Is it in the... I think it... No, lighting. Number more reports. Nope. No, because I'm trying to find it because there was this one blog. Oh, so maybe it was like one of the videos or so that they put out. Recent phase. Might be one of the videos where they talked about how they wanted to add more vehicles. I think there's like one more that they're going to add. So I think they were talking about a total of 5. And I am hoping that it is going to be this guy right here. Because if I go down, let's see. No, I guess they didn't put it in the dev blog, so they're talking about the relic vehicles. They must put it in the YouTube page. But essentially, this is like a relic vehicle, so this is like a... maybe like an endgame like Titan, I guess. I don't know. They were teasing this in one of their YouTube dev blogs, essentially, and it looked really cool. So it's... and no, look at this. So like these look like 75mm cannons, the same cannons that you got on the battle tanks. This is massive. This is like what looks like a 300mm cannon that can just kill everything. And then on the back, it looks like it has 14.5 millimeter machine guns as well, which would just rip up everything in its path. And the arc of fire on this is actually really good. It looks like it could probably fire... looks like it could fire a good, like, let's say at least 180 or so, if not a little bit more, from its mounts, which is really good. But yeah, I would like to see this as a relic vehicle, just like this in-game thing that you could use. It would have been nice to see that as one of the initial relic vehicles, I suppose, but I would imagine if the Colonials got their hands on that initially, that would have ended horribly. So, there is that, I suppose. But yeah, no, I guess that just concludes the video here for the latest release. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Yeah, should be interesting to see how all these things work together, I suppose. As always, take care, and I'll catch you guys next time.